Hello, everyone. It's Shelley, and welcome to episode 42 of Snowed, the Michael Snow is a Fraud story. You're going to hear a little bit more from Shelley.
Hi everyone, welcome back. So this brings us up to the Labor Day long weekend of 2022. Mike and I went on a road trip to Vancouver Island, where we spent the weekend in Victoria at the Wooden Boat Festival. We spent the day walking around the boats, we did some driving around, touring the island, and of course we go to check out Monday morning, and as usual, babe, could you please settle up with the hotel while I go load the car? Of course I did. Later on that day, we stopped for lunch, and he comes up all snuggly behind me. Hey, babe, seeing as how I paid for the hotel, do you think you could spring for lunch? Sure, I have no problem sharing my expense, but once again, the settle up for the hotel did not happen. We went back to my place in Abbotsford after the end of the long weekend, and I was back to work. He was staying at my place, and next thing you know, he's asking me for money. And he said he was struggling to make his mortgage payment because he was out of work at this point and needed my help. He knew that I had a line of credit and he wanted me to access it to make his mortgage payment. Luckily for me, I did not have access to my line of credit at that time because I was working on a business transaction, and using that credit line would have tipped me over the edge to the point where I would not have qualified for the transaction I was trying to do. So Mike called me a liar and left. I believe at that time is when he went to see Corey and ended up with the money that he got from her. We argued via text for several days, and it was at that point where I said, you know what, we are too far apart on what being in a relationship looks like. It's been mentioned, his lifestyle was mentioned previously, and that was not something that I was willing to participate in, so we called it quits and went our separate ways. I didn't hear from him for about a month, and at this point I had blocked him everywhere I thought I could block him. And then he emailed me, which I forgot he had my email address, and he said he wanted to talk about a mutual hobby that we had. So I unblocked him. We started chatting again, and he just kept saying he missed me, he wanted to spend time with me. So he weaseled his way back into my life. I didn't end up seeing him until December, but we did start talking again. I had seen the post online about the money that he owed to Corey, and he wanted to prove to me that he was a good man who never scammed anybody, so he showed me proof that he paid her back, which I did confirm with her. And at that point in time, I got mad at him and I said, hey, I've been waiting longer for my money. Why haven't you paid me back? And he told me not to get mad at him, that all I needed to do was give him a gentle reminder and he would be happy to transfer me the money, except he couldn't because once again he sent too many e-transfers and his account was locked. So we continue messaging into early December. He's messaging me every day. I respond, but I don't initiate contact because at this point I don't think I'm ever going to see him. I think he's just, I don't know, wanting attention or just trying to keep the lines of communication open in case he needed me for something. But at any rate, I get a phone call from him one night, and you could tell he's probably halfway through a 26, if not further. And that's when I get the first, I love you. And he followed that up with a text that says, I love you, in all caps. Then he said, I can't wait to come home to you, and I want us to live together. So in order to fix our shit, Mike decided he needed to come and visit me. So about the middle of December, he said he was on his way back to BC, that he'd be traveling with his Jeep, and that he had a couple of job interviews to stop for on the way out. Well, I'm pretty sure those job interviews were actually trips to visit other women. I can't prove it. That's just a guess at this point. So he arrives at my place before Christmas, and we take a weekend road trip. We split the costs on this one. There was none of this, hey babe, can you pay for this for me? I was done with that. So Mike and I did not spend Christmas of 2022 together. I don't know where he was or who he was with, but he was very good at sending me picture after picture after picture of where he was, and of himself, of course, because we know Mike loves the selfie. Shortly after New Year's, Mike shows back up at my place, and this time he's under the weather. So he needed a place to sleep, and feel better, you know. He said he didn't have COVID, but he was around people who had COVID. And it was, I believe, January 6th, 2023, that he left my place feeling much better, he said, and had to go see his lawyer. So I never saw him again after that. He left my place that morning. All of a sudden, I'm getting a text that he's in Merritt in a hotel and that he's really sick and that he has COVID. So there's Mike in Merritt, apparently deathly ill with COVID after somehow visiting his lawyer in Vancouver, which is completely in the opposite direction. That night, he texted me and asked me for $500 because he needed to buy meds. I told him that no, I wasn't going to send him money, that money between friends was not a good idea, especially considering how long it had taken him to pay me back the last time he owed me money. He was not happy with that at all. Following a text exchange with a lot of really nasty words, he told me that my friendship was worthless to him. After that, I didn't hear from him, and I didn't want to at that point. Fast forward about 2 months into the middle of February, I believe it was, and I got a message from Denise on Facebook and Instagram reminding me who she was and explaining that she'd been Mike's girlfriend since 2021 and that we needed to talk. At that point, I did not know who was loyal to him and who wasn't, because it seems like nobody ever goes against anything he says. So unfortunately, I did block her. Sorry, Denise. Fast forward another 2 months, and it's April 8th, 2023, and I get a message on Facebook from the lovely Shelley. And it was in that message that she explained to me that she had been Mike's common law wife for the past 5 years, and that she was starting to unravel the half-truths and had finally figured out that he had been cheating and that there were many other women involved. I will tell you that from that day in April, there hasn't been a day that Denise, Shelley, and I have not spoken. So having been paid back by Mike to the tune of about 800 of the probably 1,000 that he owed me, I really don't have a lot of financial interest in this story. I have, however, developed amazing friendships with Denise and Shelley, and so I am here to A, support them, B, to corroborate the lies, the half-truths, the fact that I do know of situations and other women and other money. And even though he hasn't taken a lot of money from me, he has taken other things from me. He has taken my self-confidence. He has taken my ability to trust others. And he has taken away the ability to trust myself.
Okay, so you've heard Shelley's story, and I hope that you can piece it together from what I have said in some of the earlier stories. So when Shelley was with Mr. Snow at the boat show, and Mr. Snow told me he was with his friend Rob, he was standing right beside Shelley, taking pictures and sending them to me. So this is just a very common theme, just like she said at Christmas time. He was sending pictures to her. He was sending the same photos to me as well and saying, I can't wait to bring you here, babe. It's so beautiful. I mean, he probably just group texts, to be very honest with you. I hope you also can piece together where I said that he left me sitting here December 15th at Christmas time with no money, no tree. And this is where he went to Shelley's to go fix their relationship. And also, when Mr. Snow was phoning Shelley saying that he loved her, I was upstairs sleeping.